Westside Gunn is one of my favorite rappers, and I think there's not really any surprise behind that. I've been a proponent of his music since 2019 when I first listened to him, and honestly, if we want to get into specifics, I was definitely a stan, like, to the point of dick riding, like, it was bad. And despite him being in my top 5 favorite rappers ever, nowadays I've kind of moved on. I still admire the art, and I still admire the dedication of the culture and medium as a whole, and I always listen when he drops, but I don't sugarcoat anything anymore, and I tell it how I think it is. And boy, do I have a lot to say about part 10 of his Hitler Wears Hermes series. Earlier this year, he dropped Peacefly God, a short project with about 10 tracks with him, Stove God Cooks, and St. Knack, and honestly it was okay. I think my review is too nice of the album. I gave it overall a 7 out of 10. I think it's like a very light 7 out of 10 or a strong 6 out of 10. There were a few standouts that I still listen to, as I look back, but the rest is pretty much forgettable, which is sad considering there's 2 or 3 beats from Madlib on there. And I like St. Knack as a rapper, but he's gotta be one of Westside's worst influences. St. Knack sounds good on beats like Curb Candy. Not beats like Bobby Roode. And I bring this up because Westside's big gimmick is that he likes to be thought of as a curator, and to an extent, I completely get it. Westside Gunn shines when he chooses cinematic beats and picks features, and with a stacked lineup consisting of A$AP Rocky, Run the Jewels, Talib Kweli, Yasin Bey, Busta Rhymes, Raekwon, and Ghostface Killah, along with typical Griselda features such as Rome Streets and Stove God Cooks, where could he go wrong? Well, a lot of things can be off. Westside tends to rely too much on certain producers, and this is something that's seen a lot more in newer projects. And if you don't know who I'm already thinking of, it's Conductor Williams. Conductor, we have a problem. There is a reason why Rome Streets' new album is joked about with the line, Conductor, we have a problem, because there's almost 50 uses of that tag on 17 tracks. And I'm not saying Conductor should lose his privileges to create music, but I'd rather hear more Alchemist beats that are cinematic, or Camouflage Monk, or literally any other producer that isn't Fly God Jr., but we'll get into that. Hell, I would rather hear a Conductor beat than a new Derringer beat in 2022, because, with all due respect, Derringer has fallen the fuck off. That, or Mayhem Loren doesn't know what a good beat sounds like, but I digress. I get why people would like this album, especially if they aren't generally used to Westside as an artist, but if you're a Westside fan like myself who didn't like Awesome God Part 2 or Who Made the Sunshine, we wouldn't have 10 or Part 8 without them. I've got a lot of bad things to say, but I want to get the good things out of the way first, because there's a lot to praise about this album. The features are placed generally well. I know Westside has features from Travis Scott and Playboi Carti in the vault somewhere, but the features chosen here are all consistently great after the second track. I have nothing against Doughboy, but we'll talk about that. I don't consider Westside Pootie a featured artist because she just talks about being rich and how I am broke as fuck. The beats throughout are pretty good, nothing too crazy besides from switches on everything and Swizz Beatz changing his style in science class. Raekwon and Ghostface's features were absolutely great. Busta Rhymes' verse was good as always. Yasin Bey was fantastic. Talib could have been better, but his part was still good and did not diminish the experience of anything. My favorite feature though was absolutely Run the Jewels. LP sounds absolutely incredible over this Mike Schaub beat, and honestly if there's anything this album taught me, it's that I'm starting to fiend for a new LP solo album. I need it, L. Killer Mike's flow here is also really great. I know he's got a solo album on the way. I need that. Rome Streets is a good feature artist, but I admittedly am getting tired of him. It could be because he just dropped a 17-track album with a few features, but I don't know. Stove God I feel similar sentiment, but I need that Stove God album that has Alchemist. I need that already. Like, y'all gotta drop it. You can't tell me Ostertag is just a one-off. But back to the track Peppa's with Blackstar. Peppa's sounds like a side B leftover, which I mean as a compliment. That song would fit perfectly in the latter half of the album, and the beat sounds like something that would be there. Okay, now that I've got the good parts out of the way, let me go off again real quick. Let's start with a cover. Westside's covers are usually good. This time seems to be an exception. He's known for teasing an alternate cover before the album's drop, so I expected this would be the alternate cover. Nope, this guy is just the cover. What the fuck? Why? Okay, the intro is just like Peacefly God. I need A.A. Rashid to get off this track and be on a separate beat or a separate intro. I am tired of A.A. Rashid taking good beats for himself to just talk nonsense. Westside should have rapped on it or found someone to rap on it. But whatever. Fly God Jr. This one is a pain to listen to. To steal from someone I follow on Instagram, Playboy Suck, he says, "Who is this song for?" I agree with that sentiment entirely. Also, why the fuck is Stove God Cooks on every song? I excused this on Awesome God Part 2 because I knew Stove was starting to get his flowers in the underground scene around then, and I excused it on Side A of Part 8 because those verses were fucking sick. I excused it on Peacefly God because, again, most of his verses were fine. By now, we are tired with him being on every song. Take him off! Take him off the song! I like Conductor Williams. I promise I do. He has been on every single Griselda project from Westside and Rome all year, and I'm tired of it. I loved Conductor on Pray for Haiti in both sides of Part 8, but it just feels like there's no unique Conductor beat. It feels like I've already heard it before, and they all sound the same. The problem with Conductor being so prevalent recently is that if you aren't listening to the album on repeat 24/7 or paying attention to track names, it all blends into itself, even if the beat isn't Conductor. Let's talk more about the features. My biggest problem with features in this album is the track Red Death. Red Death is the final track in the Hitler Wears Hermes series. In my opinion, this song, while mostly attention-retaining, does not need to be 10.5 minutes long. It just doesn't. If Armani Caesar has to be here, she should have been the first verse. I'm convinced people don't actually like Armani Caesar, and honestly, how could they? She does nothing that's worth liking and says nothing worth enjoying. Her music is mediocre overall, and even the other Griselda members can barely save her songs. The only people who should be on this track should be Westside, Benny, and Conway. If they started as 3, they should have the final track to themselves. Why the fuck is Jay Worthy here? Go back to making stoner rap. You are not needed on this kind of song. The song is too fucking long. I start losing attention by Armani Caesar's verse and by Jay Worthy's verse. And I love Alchemist. I love Alchemist. He's one of the best producers ever, but this beat is not it. I don't want to listen to this for 10 minutes, even in the same vein that I don't want to listen to the beat for Survivor Series 95 or Frank Murphy, even though Frank Murphy is the biggest offender of all. On a positive note, on this song, Red Death, I fuck with the DJ drama. I do enjoy the DJ drama bit. I think that part is actually good. I think this is the beginning of the fall off. I saw the promise in Who Made the Sunshine, even if I only liked 3 tracks. I saw the promise on Awesome God 2. I think Westside will still make good music, I just think he's beginning to lose his touch. This album sounds rushed, and it sounds like he wanted to make a final iteration simply because it's 10 years later and he should make a final iteration. Side B was originally the perfect way to end the series. This album sounds like it was sloppily thrown together, and it sounds like he didn't sequence it right, and it sounds like it's just there to be there and be the final iteration. Why is the first real beat on the album his son's trap beat, which contains the, to take from fellow small content creator who I enjoy, MINO,
flattest 808s I ever heard on a trap song.
Yeah, I know. Westside has been hyping up some of these tracks for a long time, especially the Run the Jewels track and the Raekwon, Busta, and Ghostface song. But I just find this album is kind of falling flat for me. When God Don't Make Mistakes, which is an album good in its own right, is the best Griselda album this year, there is a serious problem. I think the Griselda formula is getting a tad stale. I think Wes should have taken more time to make this album than what he did. He's known for finishing multiple songs in a few days, and that really shines through in a bad way. Part 8 Side B is one of the best Griselda projects ever, simply because Westside took his time and found people to fit every single beat almost perfectly. I say almost because Survivor Series 95 exists, but I even like the Armani Caesar part on Forest Lawn. Part 8 was just something different, man. Overall, I guess Part 10 is a good album, but it doesn't do it for me. Something is just missing that's on Part 8 and most other Westside projects that just isn't here. I think Wes isn't trying to capture that same lightning in a bottle as much, and honestly, if there were more tracks here, some of the songs were shortened and removed a lot of these redundant skits, and especially the Westside Pootie part, I think the finale of his, at this point in your classic series, could have been so much better, and to use a title of a Griselda song here, it could have been so much more. That is all. Thank you for watching. I rate this decent 7 out of 10.